Welcome to the Coach's Corner, part of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. I'm your host, Davina Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons, and this is where real conversations meet real growth. Here we explore what it means to rise through reflection, resilience, and purpose. One story, one insight, one breakthrough at a time. Whether you're a coach, a leader, or simply on your own personal development journey, this is your space to reflect, identify, stand, and emerge stronger than before. So grab your notebook, take a deep breath, and let's rise together right here in the Coach's Corner. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, part of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. I'm your host, Davina Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons, and today's conversation is one I know so many of you will connect with. Joining me is Patti Oskvarek, a life, leadership, and work life balance coach and Reiki master. Patti helps individuals lead with confidence and create a purposeful, balanced life beyond work by blending coaching, Reiki, affirmations, journaling, and reflective practices. What I love about Patti's work is that it's both grounding and practical. She understands what it feels like to be overwhelmed, to put everyone else first, and to lose your own voice. And she now helps others move from chaos to calm with intention and grace. Patti, I'm so grateful to have you here. Welcome to the Coach's Corner. Hi, Patti.
Hi, Davina. How are you?
Fantastic, especially now that you're here.
Well, I'm
I
so
love,
honored to be here.
I love this. I remember a few years back you had me on your podcast, and who would have thought that today you would be a guest on mine? How cool is that?
That is
It
so cool.
really is. It really is. And so I'm very, very excited because I know that there's a lot of people who really need what you have to share. And so we are going to just like get right to it. I think that now more than ever, all of the things that coaches bring, and helping other people it's now is the time to seek it out. And so you help people create a balanced, purposeful life beyond work. So I'm curious, what first sparked your journey into coaching and holistic practices like Reiki?
I was at a networking meeting and I was giving a presentation on leadership. And after the presentation, this lady came up to me, and this was many years ago.
Mhm.
This was before coaching was even common or anybody even knew what coaching was. And
Okay.
says to me, she goes, "You should be a leadership coach or a life coach." And I said, "Oh, I didn't quite know what it was." And so, she talked to me a little bit while more about it. And so I had an acquaintance that was a business. She wasn't a coach, but she was like an advisor. And
Hmm.
so I asked her, I said, "Do you know anything about coaching, business coaching?" And so she put me in contact with this other lady that was a business coach at the time. And that's how it all began with
Hmm.
the coaching part. And she told me about the International Coaching Federation and to get on their website and to check out coaching schools. At the time, I was working full time, and so I went ahead and went to get my coaching certification and all of that.
Hmm.
And that's how it began. So when I retired, I could start coaching. So I already
Mhm.
had my plan, and that's what I talk to people about, is have your plan, your exit plan, and move forward on what you really want to do in life, right?
That's right.
So Reiki came in because when I was a manager supervisor, I was going to my friend that was a Reiki master to help me keep myself together because
Yeah.
there was just so, much stress and stuff. And
Mhm.
she was also a coach as well. And her and I, we kind of went to coaching school together.
Mhm. Nice.
So it's a good combination because so many leaders, so many people out there have so much stress. And the Reiki can help
Mhm.
with calming you down, reframing your thinking, getting you in a good space from all the
Nice.
stress that or overwhelm that you're under.
Nice. Nice.
And how I became a Reiki master was one day my husband and I went to Sedona, and I said to him, I said, you should try out Reiki. And he had this wonderful experience. And he said to me, I want you to be a Reiki practitioner.
Oh, nice.
And he was the one that encouraged me. He encouraged me more about Reiki than he ever did coaching because he didn't understand what coaching was.
Right.
So
Right.
he was the one, he wanted me to do Reiki on him,
Mhm.
as a matter of fact. That's what it was. But,
Yeah.
anyways,
I kind of
yes.
figured that out. Yeah.
So that's how the two kind of
Yeah.
went together. And
Nice.
always in my coaching, I used journaling and affirmations. I used affirmations for myself personally when
Mhm.
I was a manager
Mhm.
supervisor.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. That is great. That's really cool. I didn't know that part. We've talked about this before, but I didn't know that your husband encouraged you to do Reiki. So that's cool. Um, in the time that I've known you, you're very low key, kind of soft spoken person. I love that about you. You're very observant. You pay attention to what's happening. You shared that you were once very shy and struggled with people pleasing. So what moment or realization helped you to begin finding Patty's voice?
Once I started working in the jobs that I was in, I knew that I needed to be more outgoing and not so shy. So that kind of built me into the framework of getting out of my shyness.
Okay.
It it took time. I still sometimes go back to that shyness. That's just something that I'm always going to have to work on. And it's a work in progress, but that's kind of how I got out of the shyness,
Hmm. Okay.
is by having to push myself out of my comfort zone and
Hmm.
really get into, you know, saying what's needed to be said. Sometimes that's very hard and uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And especially as a manager or a supervisor, you want
Hmm.
to give good feedback, but you also need to talk about things that are hard to talk about and to feel comfortable with that in a
Yeah.
very encouraging way
Right.
to
The dreaded,
inspire them.
the difficult conversations. Yes, as a leader.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very. That pulled me more out of my shyness and my comfort zone as well, by actually having to deal with critical situations, critical conversations,
Hmm.
talking about things that, you know, you're uncomfortable, but you know that it needs to be said.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I served also in corporate leadership for several years. We have that in common. And I my exit from working in corporate America was to become a teacher. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Well, I do kind of know, but I believe it had more to do with I felt like I needed to do something that made a difference in our society. That was why I became, and then I come from a family of educators, but I always said I'm never going to be a teacher when I was younger, and yet I still sort of ended up there. And what I realize is that you're a leader in different, places, whether it be in corporate, even as a teacher. I still gravitated to being, now I'm a team leader. I still am in leadership, even within education. And within each of these, you have to set boundaries. You have to set boundaries, right? And
Yeah.
many leaders struggle with boundaries. So, from your perspective, what are some of the early signs that someone needs to reset their boundaries, and how can they start gently?
Yes. So when someone constantly feels responsible for other one's needs, isn't that a people pleaser?
Yeah, that's right.
It usually means boundaries need attention. Another sign is resentment. If someone notices they're becoming frustrated or overwhelmed by requests from others, and you're the go to person,
Hmm.
it often means that you're saying yes too much without checking within yourself. Is this really truly what I want to do?
Mm,
You
makes
know,
sense. That
we
makes sense.
we say yes too often, which fills up our plate, that we can't do the things that we enjoy.
Hmm.
And people sometimes tell me they feel like they're carrying everyone's responsibilities on themselves. And that's usually a signal that you've crossed from supporting others into over functioning for them.
Hmm.
Did they ask you to do this?
Right,
Things like
right,
that.
right, right.
A simple place to start is learning to pause before answering a request. How
Hmm.
many times do we say yes right out of our mouth instead of just think about it for a minute?
Hmm.
Do I really want to do this?
Hmm.
Instead of immediately saying yes, you can say something like, let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you.
Oh, that's
This
good.
creates
Yeah.
space, better
Excuse me.
decision making on the situation.
Hmm.
Now, of course, there's going to be things that you really, really want to do, and you're going to say yes automatically, but they light you up. That's
Right,
okay. It's
right.
the things that don't light you up that you really don't want to do, and you get stuck doing it, and you feel like it's
Mhm,
pulling you down, and it doesn't give you enough time with your family, doesn't
mhm,
give you enough time for the things that you really enjoy, your hobbies, and things like that. That's taking you away.
mm,
So, setting those boundaries, is this really what I want to do? Ask yourself that question. I think that's so important.
mhm. And then knowing that, like you said, if you find yourself in all those different positions that are uncomfortable, it's time to reset. It's
Yeah.
time to, yeah. And you mentioned, I mean, it happens, but you have to do it in a way that's probably not stark. Like if you're what I imagine as I'm hearing you say this is that, okay, I'm a leader, I am in my present position, and if I'm always doing everything and I'm not delegating, or maybe I have trust issues, whatever the case may be, but at some point I decide to let go of the reins and I decide to start allowing other people to do things, people are going to wonder, what's going on. So it's probably good to communicate, right? But at the same time, you can't just like rip off the band-aid. You really need to gently
Yes.
go in that direction, right?
Yes.
um,
It little steps and practice,
mhm,
and people are going to see a change in you.
mhm. Okay.
And some people are going to like it, and some people are not going to like it.
Right.
And that's okay. You're doing this for you, so that you're a better person inside and out, and that you're not frustrated and you're not taking it out on other people, or you're not taking it in on yourself.
Hmm. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important to take those little steps and
Hmm.
work towards your boundaries, work at saying no, no, those kind of things.
Hmm.
The more you do it, the easier it gets. And kind of
Yeah.
back what you said, Davina, about trust issues and things like that.
Hmm.
How are people going to grow? How are you going to grow
Hmm.
if you don't let go a little bit?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and it's almost self-conscious. I had subconscious, not self-sub. I had uh, again, I'm a teacher leader, and so I have a very, very competent team. I have a math teacher, a science teacher, and a social studies teacher, and of course, I teach ELA. And we had a leadership meeting of all the team leaders the other day, and I don't know, I just had this realization that I haven't been doing a great job with keeping up with meeting notes, for instance. Talking and writing at the same time is not something I want to do. I don't know why. I just don't want to do it. So, and others have suggested, well, why don't you delegate having someone else do the meeting notes while you're leading the meeting? And I think subconsciously it's weird. It's like I'm not doing it well, but I haven't let someone else do it. And so I had to really think about that. And so I decided that I was going to make a point of having a backup note taker. So that's to me an example of gradually where, now I'll feel comfortable knowing that, okay, because a lot of times it's people you don't realize that you don't trust that someone's going to do it to
Very good.
right.
Very, yes.
Yeah.
And you're going to look at those notes and you're going to say, wow.
Yeah,
And the thing is what's really, can I make a suggestion?
absolutely you can.
Is ask your team who would like to take notes, because the person that really wants to do it is excited about it and wants to do it, and you're not just assigning somebody. So
Right.
if somebody says, oh, please, can I do it? Let them. They may not do it the same way as you. It may not be
Mhm.
perfect. That's okay. At least something's better than nothing, right?
We're all working so hard, no one's going to go, oh, I want to do it, but I can
Okay.
tell.
Then there's the method of
Yeah.
rotating.
Yes,
I've done
absolutely.
this.
Rotating.
This week it's going to be such and such. This week it's going
Mhm.
to be such and such, and you make a little calendar out, and they
Mhm.
know that it's going to be their turn to step up and do the notes.
Patty, that might be the ticket right there. Thank you. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
You can send me the bill. I appreciate that. That's good stuff. So you blend coaching, Reiki, affirmations, journaling, all that good stuff. How do these practices work together to help people move from chaos to calm?
Each one has a layer in it that work really well together. Coaching brings clarity and direction. Journaling helps people reflect on what they're not noticing or what they are noticing, right?
Mhm.
Affirmations support your mindset to help you shift out of one way of thinking into another way of thinking.
Mm.
And Reiki helps people slow down and reconnect with calm. So when you're doing all of those things,
Mhm.
you're actually making a big change in your life. I wish, Davina, I had a coach when I was young and throughout my whole career.
Mhm.
I think that would have made such a difference in the way would be become as a person.
Mhm.
Of course, you always need to learn your trials and errors. That makes you a better person, a better leader, all of those things.
Mhm.
And many people live in constant motion. They're never slowing down to think. With Reiki, it puts you in a meditative state and it calms your nervous system and it releases all that stress out of your body. Also, when you're in that uh, state, you can problem solve. It's very good for leaders. They can
Mm.
problem solve because they're in a calm state. Ideas come up. Like sort of like when you're taking a shower, things come up in your mind. But Reiki
Mhm.
is a little different. It actually lets all of that stress out of your body and just relax. It also
Oh, wow.
heals
Okay.
because it's putting your body in a meditative state. So mind, body, and spirit. So
Nice.
You know how you're so overwhelmed? Reiki helps calm and release that overwhelm and the constant thinking. Some people fall right to sleep,
Mm,
and they need that healing.
mhm,
Everybody's different, each session's different, but that's what
mhm,
Reiki can do for you, and it's very good for people that are in a state where they're burned out,
mhm.
um, they're experiencing PSTD. I think that's how you say it. You know,
PTSD. Yes.
they're in pain.
Mhm.
It physically relaxes your body, so the pain releases out of your body. It's amazing.
I didn't realize that. I've never tried it or anything like that, but I'm going to look into it more. I definitely know people. I have a cousin who's a Reiki master. I just actually haven't really looked into it, but thank you for sharing that. And I love how you gave the different. It makes sense, the different modalities, the different things that happens, and it's the layering piece is super important. People really need to just stop and take time for themselves. There's a
Mhm.
lot of techniques and strategies, but if you don't take time for yourself to do those things, then time you just stay busy, you just stay overwhelmed, and you just keep moving, which is why I love doing this particular podcast, is because I want to weekly remind people of ways in which they can improve their lives, improve, something within their lives. So along those lines, your personal motto is about designing a life you love. So, what does that look like in everyday decisions?
Yes. So designing a life you love is about making choices that support what you really want in life, such as balance between work and personal life, your life purpose, and your well being. What's important to you right at the stage of your life's journey. And what I mean by that, circumstances change along
Mhm.
your life and your life journey, and being able to create what really matters most to you and put it into action. It's not a perfect wheel. There's
Right.
certain things that you need in, say, you're young, you have different goals than
Hmm.
you would at 50.
Hmm.
Your life is going to change, things are going to change. You're going to have possibly children, you're going to have um, retirement coming up, all of these different things in your life, going to school, going to college, possibly, all of these things, your work life, what, and you're going to want things in your life other than just work, whether it's a hobby, family, friends. There's things that are important to you at that stage in your life. And work might be the thing that's important, but as long as you do have something else besides work, whether it's just sitting down and watching TV, your favorite TV show, and doing little things that you enjoy, a
Hmm.
craft, visiting friends, going out for coffee, just little things that bring joy to your life can really make a difference. And work life balance isn't this magic thing. It's, you look at your life and you say, this is what I want, and this is what makes me happy, and I want to have room for it.
Yeah. You said two things that stuck with me in what you just said. You, first of all, you said create, the word create. So you create it, right? And then you said take action. Really, really important. I don't know that. I think some people are living their lives on autopilot, just
Yes.
getting up and whatever happens, happens. And that means you're reacting to life, right? You're reacting to whatever happens throughout the course of your day, as opposed to getting up with intention and creating. So I want to make
Mhm.
that really clear for our listeners that you do have more autonomy than you think. You can, but it starts with first in the mind, which is why mindfulness is so important, like you said. It's important to have affirmations to affirm what you want. That's all a part of creating it. Am I correct?
Yes.
And then,
Once you sit down and think, what do I want in my life besides what I have right now? Maybe your life is going great. That's great. You're doing all the things that you want to do. You have balance. But when you have only one thing and it's not fulfilling any joy in your life, that's when you need to sit down and really look at, what do I really want in my life? Do I want friends? Do I want to
mhm,
spend more time with family? Do I want, what did I want to do as a hobby? Do I even have a hobby? Now, work's important too. I'm not saying that it's not,
right.
but you do want a little bit of something else in your life besides just work.
Mhm, mhm. And some people are fortunate enough that their work is pleasurable and it lights them up. And so those people probably would approach it in a different way. But even so,
Mhm.
outside of that day to day and how you earn a living, there are still aspects of your life that need to play out. And you mentioned, and I think about this too, you mentioned you have friends. I know that I just started making time to do things. Even when we have our get-togethers, as coaches, when we'd all come together, making time to do that, we always, as friends and as fellow coaches, we always felt so good when we'd come together. And we're about due for that again, coming up pretty soon. But when we all came together and had lunch or brunch or whatever, it felt good because the intention wasn't about coaching. The intention was about coming together with like-minded people, right? And having a positive experience and taking the time to build one another up, because our cup has to be filled, and that's the way in which we do it. And it's when we talk about balance, I think people literally expect their life to be like a scale where it's level, where it's not. It's not.
Life's messy. It's never going to be
It's
it's never
messy.
going to be perfectly
Right.
balanced. But what you can look forward to is those things that you want in your life.
Right.
It's like scheduling that vacation. It's like scheduling that coffee time with a friend.
Hmm.
Actually do it.
Hmm.
Too many of us say, oh, let's catch up, but it never happens because you don't set a time and you don't set a date. When somebody says it to me, I normally say, okay, let's look at our calendar and let's do this. It's real important.
Hmm. And I think about how when I was younger, my life seemed so much more chaotic all the time because I was always, again, reacting to whatever was going on around me and never thought about how much control or power I had to design something different. You know, once I woke up to that years later and realized that, hey, no, this is what I want to experience. This is how I want to live. So these are the actions I must take. I feel like every day, and you may have heard me say this in the past, but every day we wake up, we have two choices. We can say, I used to say life or death, and then I thought, "Oh, that probably sounds a little macabre." But left or right, whatever the case may be, but what direction are your choices taking you in? Right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is the part that I really want driven home for our listeners is that honestly, you have so much more control. From chaos to comfort, you have so much more control. And I love what you're doing because you are helping people with different strategies to make that happen. And it's powerful. It really is.
Yeah. And taking out that 5 minutes, say you're having a really stressful day, right? And you're just feeling overwhelmed. Just go outside. take 5 deep breaths if you can't. Just walk around the building or just take time out. It will reset you and you'll feel so much better.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people just don't understand their options, and they're so absorbed by the chaos that they just don't see the. Do you ever, I don't know about you, but I had a time in life where I just thought, is this going to get any better? You know? And
Yes, many
I look
times.
back on that, like, it really wasn't that bad. It just seemed like I was trapped, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it's the mindfulness piece of it. So for someone who feels overwhelmed, stretched way too thin, um, what's one small shift they can make just this week alone to regain their clarity and their calm?
So, like I kind of said, take a few deep breaths, get up and move around, go outside, and if possible, for a short walk or listen to music to give you peace, joy, and happiness. I
Mhm,
would go for walks, short little walks, and I would listen to affirmations or calming music to help me regroup my thoughts.
mhm.
And it might seem simple and it might seem, what is she talking about? But it really works.
No, I
It
get it.
changes your mindset.
Yeah.
Just getting
Mhm,
away from the chaos for just, even if it's 5 minutes, can change your perspective,
mhm,
your body calm down, you're not tense, all of those things. Just walking away instead of walking in to the chaos,
mhm,
walk away
mhm.
just for a few minutes if you can. I
Right.
mean, there's many times where I said, you know what, can we have this conversation in about an hour? Let's regroup. When it started getting heated or there
Mm,
were some unkind things going on, I would just say, let's get back to each other in an hour. And what a difference that made, Davina,
mm,
when me and that person got back together. It was a totally different atmosphere. We both had time to think about things
mhm.
and regroup and compromise or come up with a solution together.
I needed that help back in my corporate days, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
definitely needed that. I needed that advice. Yeah, because I am that person that wants to solve it right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a lesson that I am learning. And it's as I study neuroscience and understand more and more in building my business, I realize so many things that I personally needed to change, and that's one of them. That reset time is super important. Um, because the thing is that oftentimes it's poor communication, it's misunderstandings. There's so
Assume.
many, yeah, a lot of assumptions. You're right, a lot of assumptions, and it's like if there were just enough time to think things through, some things wouldn't be said and wouldn't be done, right?
Yes.
So yeah, no, I totally relate to that. And then still talking about this thing called work-life balance because that's a that's one that I think really snags people. But um, I know that with the increase in prices and the socioeconomic stress that's going on and the media and all of these different things, some people feel like, is what we're talking about realistic? Is this rainbows and butterflies? And not so, not at all, right?
No,
But
it's
isn't it
not.
up to the individual to redefine the balance that they need in a way that feels realistic and sustainable?
Yes. And they might not even realize they have balance.
Hmm.
And balance is less about dividing time and evenly and more about making the things that matter most in your life and
Mm,
giving room for you to do it. That means you might need to release something that you're doing that you might have said yes to that you really didn't want to do. And you
Mhm.
just start releasing those things that you don't want to do, makes room for things that you do want to do.
Mhm.
What may be work-life balance to me is not going to be the same for you, Davina,
Right.
or the audience out there. We
Right.
each have different things that we want in our life. We
Mhm.
have different goals. We have things that truly light us up
Mhm.
that we're not making room for.
Mm. Oh, that's key. Not making room for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that
like
means
I
you have to be intentional, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, each of us have different stages in our life,
Mhm.
styles, goals, likes, aspirations, and
Mhm.
finding happiness in those areas is a life lesson. You know, what do I want in my life? What have I learned? What's the true meaning of what I want in my
Mhm.
life? And what
Mhm.
does that look like? And how am I going to get it? And that's
Mhm.
what coaches do. They help you plan that action plan and work forward to get what you really want in your life.
Mhm. They help with clarity.
They
Absolutely.
help with clarity. They ask you those questions that get you thinking, because sometimes we're just stuck.
Mhm.
They break through that and open you up to possibilities that you never thought of.
Mhm. You know, I often when I explain coaching to people who aren't really familiar with it or understand it, I liken it to athletic coaches because athletic coaches, we can see that, right? We see on a football field, we see those coaches, and by the way, there are several different coaches for different aspects of the game, which I find interesting. But that just for the sake of this example, we look at the head coach, right? The one
Mhm.
that's ultimately responsible. And, you know, not one time does that coach carry the ball. Not one time does that coach run, receive, or any of the things that football players do. And for anybody listening who knows more about football, I'm hoping that I get this analogy right. But I think they do carry balls and then they kick them and all that, right? So, but the coach is there and the coach goes over the plays. And when I think about helping someone, you know, design their life with intention or be more intentional about living their lives, a coach is there to help them plan the play. How are we going to do this, right? And
Mhm.
asking the right questions. You know, the athletic coach has it all on the diagram, but he's not or she's not going to run it. They're not going to run the plays. They're not going to do it. But somebody has to see it and be able to do it. And in our lives, sometimes we don't see it like someone else can, but they're not living the life for us. So, as a coach, you can call it out, you can ask the right questions, you can do whatever, but they have to run the play. Did I get
Yes.
that right, Patty?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You did.
And so that's kind of where um I believe some people don't even know they're in the game. They don't know they're in the game of life. They just again um are just responding to whatever stimulus is happening. Um it's like
Going through the motion or
right.
reacting
Yes,
instead of proactive, you know?
exactly. And not being intentional. So
Yeah.
how can leaders and professionals lead with intention without burning themselves out? Because that's the other side of it. You know, the people who are responsible for more than just themselves, but now you're responsible for a team. And I know you know with your corporate background, with my background, we understand that you feel responsible for your team and their success or failures, correct?
Yes.
How can you not get burned out from that? So it's not just about you, right?
It's about awareness.
Okay.
Many leaders feel pressure to have all the answers,
Mm,
but intentional leaders often come from slowing down, enough to reflect through journaling, quiet reflection, or simply asking what's working and what's not working. How many people take that time to say, okay, and ask this question instead of just jumping in and doing what they think is needed and then realizing, ooh, I should have done it a different way, right? It's just taking those few moments. Be willing to learn from your mistakes and stay open to the input from others. When leaders listen with compassion and invite ideas from their team, and solutions often become clearer. And when leadership is shared in that way, it becomes more manageable. And leading with intention means remembering that leadership isn't about carrying everything alone. How many of us as leaders feel you're alone, you're an island, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's about supporting others, contributing to solutions, and creating an environment where everyone can work towards a mutual goal in a thoughtful and manageable way. So what do I mean by that? It's the delegating. It's sharing your knowledge. It's working together as an actual team. And how many of us really care about our team members? Really take the time to find out, oh, they're having a bad day. And giving them space, really getting to know your team members, seeing, oh, this isn't like them, something's going on. How many leaders notice that?
Right. Yeah, I know. It's a part of our practice to do a check-in before we start a meeting. Everyone, goes around and shares how they're going, anything. And sometimes we have a prompt that we respond to. Other times it's just simply how you living, how you feeling right now, or anything great you want to share, or anything happening that is maybe you're in a different headspace today because of it. And I know how essential that is, because when I go into a meeting and if I'm feeling some kind of way, I'm a communicator, so I usually will share with everyone in the room how I'm feeling. But not everyone is. So making space and holding space for people like yourself who, was once shy, is giving you an opportunity to stand on level ground and express yourself. And that alone lifts you up. So I totally agree. The check-in is essential. And leaders can't, maybe you're swamped and you think you don't have time, but you do. If you run a meeting, then you have plenty of time to, it's simple things like everybody who loves animals, for instance, in the office, share your puppy or dog pictures or cat pictures or whatever. Just simple things that a lot of people think, oh, that has nothing to do with work, but it doesn't have to have something to do with work. That's the thing. We're all human beings with lives, and being able to share a little bit. And of course, there's some people that are like, nah, that's not me, not my personality. Get right to the point. Let's get the meeting going.
Yeah.
And maybe those people, that's fine. That's who they are. But if they're that's where the compassion comes in, right? Compassionate enough to allow others to do what they need to do in the same space. Um, you know, so I know that you have a lot of stuff that you could share, but I want to make sure that you tell us about your YouTube channel, Coaching for Inspiration with Patti, and what kind of support and inspiration can viewers expect there?
It's a place where people can find encouragement, clarity, and practical ideas for creating balance in their lives. I share about coaching insights on leadership, work-life balance, and personal growth, just like we talked about, and about navigating life's challenges. I get real about leadership situations. And I talk about what's going on and how a leader may feel or how a leader is acting and how different things. So I do get real. It's not always inspiring, but it gives you food for thought.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, navigating life's challenges along with affirmations and journal prompts, strategies that help people slow down and think about what choices and what they really want in life. I share a short travel adventures and
Oh,
tranquil
nice.
moments just
Mhm.
to remind us that we need to appreciate our life along the way. My goal is simply to offer support and inspiration so people feel like they're being heard, more confidence, and about designing the life they love.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, some of the things that I talk about and being a leader, people are like, oh my gosh, that's me,
Mhm.
and shocked that somebody else understands what they're going through. And
Mhm.
that's what people need to
Mhm.
feel I'm not alone.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I know you're a podcaster and have been for a long time. It's been a few years now, correct?
Yeah, I have two podcasts. One, I'm
Okay.
a co-host, Building Better Relationships with Angel at Home and at Work with Angela and Patty, which Davina has an episode on that one. And
Yeah.
then I have a short little 5 to 7 minute podcast called Exploring Life and Work with Patty. And that's the one that really digs into leadership.
Okay. Have to check that
And it
one out.
has
Yeah.
affirmations to get you through the day, an affirmation to get you through whatever
Mhm.
the topic is that I'm talking about at that time for that podcast episode.
Nice, nice, nice. Love that. Yeah, so I encourage everyone to definitely go to it's in the notes. Go to uh coaching with Patty. I'm sorry, coaching for inspiration with Patty, and check that out and everything that's there. Um, like and share and all that good stuff there. And as also with this podcast, please remember to like and share wherever it's streaming to, because I know right now it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. So if you're wherever you may be watching this, please make sure that you do like it and share and come back for more. So I think this might be my last question, and
Okay.
this is a good one.
Okay.
As a coach who's done her own inner work, what encouragement would you offer to someone who knows they need change but feels afraid to begin?
That's a very good question, Davina. Sometimes the bravest step is simply admitting you want something different and giving yourself permission to explore what that might look like and taking action steps to get there. It's just realizing I want more.
Mhm.
I'm I'm tired of this. I want something different and I want to do it and I want happiness in my life. I want joy in my life. I want to be
Mhm.
a nicer person, a better person because I have those things in my life.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a decision. It's a decision. Make a
Choice.
decision. Make a choice. Absolutely. And then from there, it amazes me because I look back at different stages of my life, and when I look back and I think about how I got through those stages, it was always based on a decision or a choice. It was always go back to school, finish your degrees, become a teacher, become a mom, whatever the choices were. I have no regrets. And um, did I make mistakes? Absolutely. Did I sometimes do things in not so smart way? Absolutely. But that became also the lesson. That became growth. And so I totally get what you're saying. Just decide. Just decide. Just be intentional and live intentionally about what I want. And don't feel like it's insurmountable. Don't feel like you can't do it, right? Because once you start taking those steps, I do believe, and I don't know if this has been your experience, Patty, but I believe doors tend to open and a way tends to be made. It just
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it just does.
in so many ways. Once that mindset shifts, you see opportunities that you were there, but you never stepped into.
Hmm. Hmm. And even some of the things you feared, if someone had told me I would be leading podcasts, I'd be like, I don't know. Because I said, and this is another thing, which is a whole new show, we create false narratives. I said, I'm not good on camera. I don't like it. I don't think I can do it for so long. I would avoid with being an entrepreneur, they say, oh, videos are so important. I went beyond doing videos to actually being live streaming. And I would have never thought in the past that I would be okay to do it. But
Well,
guess
remember
what?
when I asked you to be on my podcast?
Yes, I do. I was so nervous. That was
And it
probably
turned
one
out
of,
to be so good. It turned out to be a great
I'm gonna have to go
episode.
back and check that out again. Yeah, I think that was one of the very first podcasts I'd ever been on, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been the first. I was so nervous back then. Um, you have something you want to share. You just don't. You worry about the wrong things. And now I've learned, even doing this, that it is what it is. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. It's okay. I'm human. If people are looking for mistakes, they're not at the right spot. They're not in the right place. This is if live. And hopefully I'm modeling that. Hopefully I'm modeling for someone else. And you are, and all of us who are in this coaching arena, that just do it. Just live. Not to, I don't want to have to give credit to Nike, but just do it. Right. And then you find out, oh my gosh, maybe I'm good at this, or maybe I enjoy it. And that's even better than being good at it. I don't have to be all that great, but I do want to enjoy it, and I certainly do. So, with that being said, Patti, anything else you want to say to our listeners? Anything you want to remind people as we come to a close?
Remember that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to live life. That's how you learn. That's our life lessons. And it makes us the person that we are. And just make room for the things that you want in your life and let go, release the things that you don't. The things that you're doing because you feel obligated or that you don't enjoy, that just feels like a hindrance to you. Take
Mm,
one step at a time and just release those things
that
that
is
aren't making you happy.
that is so powerful. So very powerful. So I'm so excited. I'm going to get this right. So I hear we are stronger together. If each one would reach one, we all could grow and glow. So I try every week to share this and I don't get it right, but this week I said I'm just going to have a cheat sheet because it's so important. Stronger together. And this is the motto of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. And Patti, thank you so much for being here, for taking time on a Sunday to be our guest. This is enlightening, and I hope that someone listens, if they didn't today, in the replay, and gets something out of it and takes a risk, takes a chance, makes a choice, goes from chaos to more comfort in their lives. And that would be because of you, Patti. So thank you so much. And for all our listeners, um, see you next Sunday. Um, and I am very, very excited that you stopped by. Okay? All right.